Why hello, I didn't see you there. We've got to enjoy the Chromatic Cube before it's gone for a while, and I decided to jump back in, and I was treated with what I'm told is one of the best cards in the Chromatic Cube, and I got it passed pretty late in Pack 1. It's Mizzix's Mastery. This is 3 and a red, a sorcery. Exile target card that's an instant or sorcery from your graveyard. For each card exiled this way, copy it, and you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Then you exile Mizzix's Mastery. But you can overload this bad boy for 5 red, which means you get to cast all of the instants and sorceries from your graveyard. So, as you might imagine, we have done work to up the count of our instants and sorceries, and in particular, we have a lot of different ways to take extra turns. So we have Alrund's Epiphany, Karn's Temporal Sundering as extra turn generators. We also have Alchemist's Gambit, a cleave card that can let you take an extra turn. And we have multiple ways of copying these effects with the enchantment Double Vision that doubles your spells, the Mirari Conjecture doubles your spells, and also at the very top end, Jin-Gitaxias Progress Tyrant, which doubles your spells. And then to flesh things out, I tried my best to learn my lessons from my previous Chromatic Cube drafts, and I have much more things to do at the low end. So I have a total of 6 2-drops. We have Search for Azcanta as a way to filter and draw cards. And then for removal, Electrostatic Blast, Fire Prophecy. We've got creatures in Magmatic Channeler, Plarg, Dean of Chaos, and we have Pass the Torch. 3-drops, we have very juicy, something that we ran into last time, Toralf's Disciple. This is the 3-mana 3/3 haster. When it attacks, we conjure 4 cards named Lightning Bolt into our library and shuffle. Now, that means this is an actual card that's added to the game, and it actually goes to our graveyard. So if we start swinging with this thing and start throwing around Lightning Bolts, that's fair game for Mizzix's Mastery. Pretty exciting. And then we have some things here and there to round things out. We've got Arouse Outburst, Inscription of Insight, very excited to cast that. Karn, Scion of Urza. And the only downside, time will tell. A downside of this deck is that our mana is not fantastic. So we have 7 islands, 8 mountains, a Steam Vents, and a Temple of the Dragon Queen. That's it. And our mana, especially at the 3-drop spot, is a little dicey because we've got 2 spells that cost 1 red. I'm not overly concerned, and it makes me a bit sad because initially this deck was Grixis, and as things progressed, we weren't really getting black cards, and they didn't really make sense for the deck. And I had taken relatively early a bunch of blue-black, black-red lands to make that work, and of course, those don't do us any good. With all that being said, I'm curious how this is going to go. All I really want is to live the dream one time of taking a bunch of extra turns and then Mizzix mastering them, taking them again. Let's see if we can make that dream come true. Okay, we go first. We've got 4 lands, 3 islands, and a mountain. Then we have Plarg, Dean of Chaos, which does let us loot. Magmatic Channeler, a 1/3, and then a Jin-Gitaxias. I think the Plarg ties the room together, and we do get to go first, so we're going to hope to play Plarg and then ditch some of these islands for better cards, so we'll keep this. Plarg is a flip card. The backside is Augusta, Dean of Order, which costs white mana, which we don't have, so we're not going to worry about that. Let's start with... I don't think there's any 1 mana counter spell, so we're just going to start with a mountain. It's more likely we would have a 1 mana removal spell that maybe will make them blink. They play a green-white land. We draw Mizzix's Mastery. Okay. This is a fine start. Let's play our Plarg. This is a 2/2, taps to loot. I guess it's, Rummage. You discard first, but still very good. We drew another land, so let's go ahead and start by rummaging. Discard an island. Draw an Alrund's Epiphany. Now, see, that's a lot better. And then let's play an island and run out our Magmatic Channeler. Inscription of Insight, very good. Okay, so this is getting real juicy now. Played our land. So we can just start ditching really powerful spells with Plarg. We'll start by attacking with our Magmatic Channeler. This is a 1/3, by the way. As long as there are 4 or more instants and sorceries, it gets +3/+1, and we can discard a card to exile the top 2 cards and play one of them this turn. We should have done that probably, but I kind of like just ending the turn and holding up Inscription of Insight. Opponent is green, white, red, blue so far, and hasn't cast any spells. Always scary, of course. They're just passing to us. Let's go ahead and cast Inscription of Insight. Oh, it's a sorcery. Wow. We're so smart. So, do we want to activate Plarg? I don't think so. Let's just draw our card. Search for Azcanta. I don't think we're going to have time for all that, so I think we're just going to rummage it away. Draw a land. Very good. Play a land. And we could Inscription of Insight to scry 2, draw 2. I kind of just want to foretell Alrund's Epiphany, though. This is the 7 mana, we get an extra turn, and if it's foretold, we get 2 1/1 blue birds with flying. Okay, go to attack with our Magma Channeler. Opponent goes Kenrith the Returned King. So this is the 5/5 legend that has tons and tons of activated abilities. We probably just want to Inscription that. Turn up to 2 creatures, just waste their time. Can also activate Magma Channeler. Let's do that first. Get rid of our Fire Prophecy. We got a land, which we can now play, which gets us up to 6 mana. And now, yes, I think we're going to cast Inscription. Don't have the kicker, unfortunately. And we're going to return Kenrith back to their hand, just to waste their time. And yeah, we'll go ahead and attack with Plarg. It's 20-16. So if we draw, hopefully they play Kenrith again, and then we're going to be able to go to the races. They play another tap out, basically. They play Ao the Dawn Sky. 5/4 Flying Vigilance. When it dies, choose one. Look at the top 7, put any number of non-land permanents with total mana value 4 or less on the battlefield, or put 2 1/1 counters on each permanent you control that's a creature or vehicle. Splendid. Let's activate Plarg first. So we drew Temple of the Dragon Queen, which is a bit slow for a land. We got another land, perfect. So, what do we want to do? We could cast Alrund's Epiphany right now and get an extra turn. We can also cast Jin-Gitaxias, Progress Tyrant, and then we'll get to take 2 extra turns next turn. That's too juicy, isn't it? Yeah, let's go ahead and throw the Jin-Gitaxias out there. And then give it back to them. They currently have a 5/4 Flying Vigilance in play, and that's it. We could get punished here. If they have... I mean, it's hard for them to punish, though, because Jin-Gitaxias, he copies our first artifact, instant, or sorcery, and it counters their first one. So, how are they killing Jin-Gitaxias? They have to have 2 removal spells in order to do it, and they haven't removed any of our creatures so far. Just pass it back to me. Just play your Kenrith, pass it back to me, let me live my dreams, and take 2 extra turns in a row. They're passing to attackers, and they're giving it to us, having not played Kenrith. Well, I think they're hosed now. We got the Mirari Conjecture as well. I don't think that'll be necessary. Let's cast Alrund's Epiphany. So it copies it. We get 2 extra turns. They didn't do anything. Do we want to... I guess we can activate the Magma Channeler. Discard a card. We're going to discard the Mirari Conjecture. Seems very unnecessary. We get to play an island this turn. Wonderful. And then I think we're just going to say it's our extra turn. We drew Alchemist Gambit, so we can take 2 extra turns again. So we're on our first of 2 extra turns. So I think we cleave the Alchemist, take 2 extra turns. So we've got, how many extra turns we have going on right now? Oh my gosh, so many. And now we still can't really attack or anything though. And yeah, we're just gonna pass it back to our turn. We got double vision, absolutely insane. We can just overload Mizzix's mastery. We have so many extra turns. We're running out because they get exiled. These are not sitting in our graveyard. But if we double vision, that doesn't help us cast 2 Mizzix mastery. Okay, so it's time to overload the mastery. I mean, we get to cast 2 Mizzix mastery, but I mean, who cares about that? So we can cast Fire Prophecy on AO the Skydon, and then we can cast Inscription of Insight. Can we just choose to do it with Kicker? We can. That's insane. 2 creatures back to their hand, just AO is fine. Now we're targeting a player. Target player creates an XX blue illusion, that's us. Okay, so we couldn't pay the Kicker. I was like, jeez. Okay, return this creature to your hand. Submit. Okay, not as exciting as I had hoped, but we now have their creatures out of play, and we have a bunch of creatures of our own. We still have a lot of extra turns coming up. So let's attack with all 5. They go down to 6. It's our extra turn. We can just go to combat, attack with all of them again. And they're dead. Well, mission accomplished. I think I'm just going to end the episode here and just forfeit out of the rest because it's not going to get better than that, is it? Wonderful. Well, let's take a congratulatory ad break and then we'll get back into the action with round 2.
Near the small village of Heartscrest lies an idyllic hollow abundant with flowers and berry bushes. The Warren of Petal Grove is vast and expansive. Hundreds of generations have hopped around its many twisting tunnels. Stories say that this warren has been here since Loam's creation, and all rabbits who inhabit the continent today descended from them. Humans and other various predators come to hunt for rabbits every now and then, nothing out of the ordinary, and until recently, the rabbits of Petal Grove have lived in relative peace. Hello, I'm Amber, the GM of the Warren of Petal Grove. The Warren is a game about intelligent rabbits trying to make the best of a world filled with hazards, predators, and worst of all, other rabbits. I really love the idea of having a game and setting where I plus players could tell several short stories. So I recruited 12 players to play in 3 different mini-stories, all set inside the same Warren. Sessions are aired live on twitch.tv/Geekspective. You can find the VODs on Geekspective's YouTube, and you can find the show wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go to geekspective.com for more information.
Well, round 1 worked a treat, and I think in large part to having things to do while our opponent was sitting on their thumbs. And we got another good hand. Opponent goes first, but we have Search for Escanta to start looking for cards. Electrostatic Blast to hit our opponents and interact with them early, and also Fast and Furious to split card. That can either help us loot to find action or can act as a small sweeper. Yeah, this looks fine. Opponent's going first, so a bit of a bummer, but what can you do? They go Zagoth Trap. We drew the Mizzix Mastery. I wonder, when you cast Mizzix Mastery on a split card, do you choose a mode or do you get both? Surely you could just get one. Right. We play Mountain into their Zagoth Triumph. So they're playing Bug, Sultai, and then a Rootbound Crag. So, never mind, they're 4-color. They play their own Plark, Dean of Chaos. Well, that's going to get Electrostatic blasted, my friend, because I'm not going to let you pull the same shenanigans we did. So, E-Blast is an alchemy card, so of course it does stupid things. It does 2 damage to any target, and then when we cast our next instant or sorcery, we exile the top 3 cards and we may play one of those until end of turn. I mean, it might not even come up, but one never does know. What did they play? Fiend Artisan. So it's getting +1/+1 for each creature in their graveyard. So it starts as a 1/1, now it's a 2/2. They could pay X green or black, sack a creature, search the library for a creature card with mana X or less, put on the battlefield, then shuffle. Activate only as a sorcery. So it's like a weird little, what's it called? Birthing pod. Yeah, whatever. That looks like something we could eventually kill with our Furious. So let's go ahead and play an island, and then search for Esconto. What this does, at the beginning of our upkeep, we look at the top card, we can put it in our graveyard if we want, so it's kind of like scrying it away. Then if we have 7 or more cards in our graveyard, we can transform it into Esconto the Sunken Ruin, a land that taps for blue, but you can pay 3, look at the top 4, and you get a non-creature, non-land from those 4. Opponent played Karn Scion of Urza. Well, that's quite good. Reveal the top 2, the opponent chooses one of them, put that card into your hand, and the other in exile with a silver counter on it. So they drew Nicol Bolas the Ravager and Midnight Reaper. So you can have the Midnight Reaper in your hand. Karn's definitely scary. We don't have great answers for that at the moment. We drew Karn's Temporal Sundering, funnily enough. Does that go to the graveyard? I think so, because we can eventually Mizzix Mastery. So yeah, put that in the graveyard. We drew Fire Prophecy. So what can we do with that? Not much. I kind of just want to keep it in hand and eventually cast Furious. So let's play our land and end the turn. What would be best here? It'd be good if they -2'd Karn to make a Karnstruct. Played the Midnight Reaper. They're not. They're putting the Nicol Bolas into their hand. And now they're gonna play the Nicol Bolas? No, they're playing the Midnight Reaper. Okay. Pass to attackers. So they did most of what we wanted. And they're not attacking with the Fiend Artisan. They don't like us having mana open. Fair enough. Okay, do we want to draw a mountain? I suppose so. We have a lot of things we need to do. We need a lot of mana to do it. We have 5 mana available. So yeah, we just have to cast Furious just to stave off trouble. So... oh, we're stupid for playing that land pre-combat. Because of course our E-Blast now drew us 3 cards that we can't do anything with. No, that was poorly done by us. But it did remove some creatures. It also let them draw some cards, because Midnight Reaper, when a non-token creature dies, they take a damage and draw a card. Okay, they're once again plussing Karn. 1 goes to their hand. You could have this Temple of Malice in your hand, and your own Electrostatic Blast in your exile zone. Now it's got to be the time for Nicol Bolas, I would presume. Yep. 4/4 makes us discard a card when it comes into play. We'll ditch a Fire Prophecy. Do we want another land? Yes, we need to get to this Mizzix Mastery eventually. So let's play that, and then we don't have enough yet to cast our Jin-Gitaxias, so we're just going to have to give them the turn back. Our Mizzix Mastery is going to be quite large and in charge when we get to cast it finally. They're activating the +1 on Karn again. Hostage Taker and Leyline Prowler. Really, Hostage Taker is going to be a mega pain for us. It's going to get to take something they can then cast later. That's disgusting. And they played Field of the Dead, which activates, so they're going to get a zombie for every land drop. It's not looking good for the home team. and then they exploit it to an Ob-Nixilistic adversary. So now they have a Karn and 2 Ob-Nixili, plus a Nicol Bolas in play that's threatening to flip. We haven't lost yet. Discard a card. No thanks. Take some damage. So they're activating their Ob-Nixili, where we can decide to discard cards or lose some life. So now it's 16 to 18. They're presumably going to smack us with their Nicol Bolas. Yeah. The deck they're playing right now is very cool. It is ultimately a pile of good stuff and planeswalkers, but, I mean, who doesn't like that? Our deck is cooler, I would say. Okay, they play their Leyline Prowler. Do we want another land? I think we have to say no, we don't. Torrential Gearhulk. Now that's interesting. Because we could just do that right now to cast Karn's Temporal Sundering for free. Is that good? Not really. I think we'd rather Jin-Gitaxias this turn. Then we're in a slightly better position next turn to play Torrential Gearhulk. Double spell off of the Karn's Temporal Sundering. Get some extra turns, then maybe get some Mizzix Mastery going on. It's a long shot. It's 12 to 18 and they have so much action. A Nicol Bolas that's ready to flip. Is it ready to flip right now? It is. And then they can just use it and shoot down our Jin-Gitaxias. That's what they should do. And if they do that, I think we're going to just surrender. Ooh, there. Oh. Of course they can just attack with the Nicol Bolas for free. We're going to say no blocks. I know that we're just giving away free equity if they realize they can flip their Nicol Bolas, but if Jin-Gitaxias dies, we're just going to lose. Okay, they are flipping it. Now, are they going to take out the Jin-Gitaxias? That is what they absolutely should do. They're hovering it, and they took it out. Okay, GG. No coming back from that. Yeah, Karn was the difference maker there. We have our own Karn, bear in mind. Haven't seen him. But, yeah. Good game. They went over the top before we could start rattling off some extra turns. Alright, 1-1. On we go. We go first. We have 3 lands. Electrostatic Blast, Seasoned Pyromancer, Rouse Outburst, great interactive spell we haven't seen yet, and Karn's Temporal Sundering. This looks great. We'll be keeping this. And we'll be playing a Steam Vents tapped. Feels good. Would be the best thing for us to see. We drew Tiral's Disciple. This could get extremely juicy. Pass to them. Please play some dork. So we can Electrostatic Blast. They play Priest of the Fell Rites. This is actually a absolutely perfect dork for us to kill. Which we will absolutely do. Drew the Mizzix Mastery. It's fine. It's actually more than fine because we're going to play Tiral's Disciple. 3/3 Haster. Attack with it. And when we do, we conjure 4 Lightning Bolts into our library. So now we've got a bunch of Lightning Bolts that we could draw and then eventually overload Mastery, get it back. They play Skyclave Apparition. I think this is like an Oblivion Ring variant. 2/2 when it enters the battlefield. Exile up to 1 target non-land you control until it leaves. No, we don't get it back. All we would get back is an XX blue illusion. So we get a 3/3 blue illusion if we play that. Kind of sucks, but... Seasoned Pyromancer, I think has to be our play. We didn't draw a land, so... Cast Seasoned Pyro. Discard 2 cards. So we'll discard Karn's Temporal Sundering. And should we discard Ral's Outburst or Burn Down the House? Burn Down the House, I think. So we draw 2 cards, and we got 2 Devils, and then we get to play, or Elementals rather, and then we get to play an island. Pretty frickin' good. They play Dariel. Soul Broker. I don't even know what this guy does. So they plussed him until your next turn. Whenever an opponent attacks you and or a planeswalker you control, they discard a card. If they can't, sacrifice an attacking creature. We could just burn down the house on them. Like next turn, if we get a land, we can burn down the house and take out Davriel. Or we can Rouse Outburst the Skyclave Apparition. That doesn't sound that good either. I think we just pass, leave up our Rouse Outburst. Too bad we didn't have 6 mana there. I would have liked a Torrential Gearhulk burn down the house. Okay, there's +1ing Davriel again. Casting Henrika, Domnathi. 1/3 flyer, gives him a bunch of options of cool things to do. Then eventually flips into a 3/4. Yeah. Should we just Rouse Outburst now? In order to guarantee draw our land? 3 damage to any target. Yeah, I guess we do. Rouse Outburst. Let's do it to Davriel. Electrostatic Blast resolves first. And we aren't able to do anything with the cards we drew, because we're tapped out. And then we're going to get the other... Okay, so this is great. So the 2 cards were Alchemist Gambit and an island. We'll put the island in our hand, and then the extra turn from Alchemist goes to the graveyard. That's wonderful. Morari's Conjecture. Very cool, but ultimately not what I'm looking for. Let's see, is there any reason... I don't think there's any reason to run out the Gearhulk right this second. Might as well do it on their turn. Pass the turn. I'm not sure if that's right. I'd like for them to play another creature that can get burned down the house. If they're +1ing Davriel again, not surprising. That's all they've shown that they want to do with him so far. Which is good. I mean, they've gotten basically no value out of him. They play Kaya the Inexorable. Ooh, this could be good. She's gonna... The worst thing that could happen is if they +1 her. Which they do. So they're putting a Ghost Form counter, so we need to respond to this with the Torrential Gearhulk. That lets us cast... Oh, it's only an instant. Oh, for God's sakes. Oh well, so at the very least we get to Rouse Outburst. That's on me for not reading the card. They ephemerate it. That's pretty weak. That's pretty weak. Okay. We drew Jin-Gitaxias. We don't have the mana to play him. They've got Kaya and Davri just going bananas over there. So we can cast a Morari Conjecture this turn, which gets us our Electrostatic Blast back. Do we want to attack? No, we do not. Their Ephemerate rebounds. You're gonna get their Henrika Infernal Seer again? It's the only thing that makes sense. I guess they could do Skyclave Apparition, which would give us a 3/3 creature. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Gives us a 3/3. And then they exiled our Seasoned Pyromancer. Why would they do that instead of our Torrential Gearhulk? Put a Ghost Form counter on Henrika. Ghost Form counters are annoying. It makes it so that when they die, it goes back to the hand and they get a spirit. It's pretty obnoxious. Kaya is now at 7. So next turn, they could -7, which would give them an emblem with at the beginning of your upkeep, you may cast a legendary spell from your hand, your graveyard, or among cards you own in exile without paying its mana cost. It's definitely spooky. Okay. We get a sorcery back to hand. So now we could get burned down the house, which we must do. Oh, but they used their Lion's Sash to eat the card. It only cost them 1 white to do that? Oh my god. Well, we are hosed, aren't we? We should have electrostatic blasted first. Well, poopy. Stupid sexy lion sash. So they have another 2 white mana. They can eat 2 more cards from our graveyard. And we have no more action in our graveyard. Well, now our Mizzix Mastery is just utter trash. We can cast Chromatic Lantern. No attacks. Next turn, Mirari Conjecture's 3rd chapter will go off, which means whenever we cast our next instant or sorcery, copy it. And that's it. We get to copy it. So, best case scenario, we draw one of our take an extra turn cards, and that would give us 2 extra turns. But I don't even know what we're going to be doing with those extra turns. Opponent just ghost formed their Skyclave Apparition as well. I mean, I was about ready to concede after they ate all the cards from my graveyard, but our opponent also is just not putting any pressure on. Okay, they finally attack us with Henrika. Hit us for 3, they gain 3. 17 to 19. Opponent has a lot of mana. They cast Crux of Fate, killing all creatures. But of course they have Ghost Form, so they get 2 spirits, and they get those cards back to their hand. So we got our 3rd chapter of Mirari Conjecture, and there's nothing for us to Mirari Conject about. We can cast Jin-Gitaxias, but they can just kill it with Kaya. We have no action, they have mountains of it. I'm just going to concede. We're never battling back here. There was a window there where we could have killed their planeswalkers, but they ate the card away with the Lion Sash. Good play by them. Alright. 1 and 2. All to play for, unless we lose, and then we're done. Okay. What about this hand? This hand is sketchy. 3 lands, Fire Prophecy, like that. But then nothing really to cast before turn 7. An Alchemist Gambit, an Alrund's Epiphany, and a Jin-Gitaxias Progress Tyrant. We're drawing first, so that makes it a little more tolerable. I say we keep it. I mean, we didn't come here to be cowards, did we? Okay, opponent goes Ketria Triumph. Lots of triumphs against us today. We will play our Steam Vents tapped. Fire Prophecy is kinda cool, because we do 3 damage to a creature, which we're gonna do because they just played an Elysian Caryatid. 2 mana ramp is not what we want to see. So we can play an island, then Fire Prophecy, hit the Caryatid, and then do we want to put a card into our library? That would let us draw a card. We don't need all these extra turns, do we? Maybe we do have time. I think we're going to decline. Because the way we're going to win, we drew a Burn Down the House, which is a wrath effect that can save our lives. We might darn well have to. They cast another Mana Dork, Llanowar Visionary. We're just going to play a land and pass. Yeah, ideally they're going to play a couple more relatively cheap creatures. Okay, Arisen Reef is good. I mean, it's not good for us because it's a great card that they played. But it is another thing that can die to our Burn Down the House. We drew Plarg. Do we play Plarg? I'm going to say no. Ideally, we want to play Plarg after we burn down the house. But we need to draw a red source very badly. Opponent plays Volo Guide to Monsters, another creature that can die to burn down the house. Fauna Shaman, which is an elf, so it's not. So, oh man, so much is happening. Volo is a 3/2. When they cast a creature that doesn't share a type with their other creatures, they make a copy of that creature, which is pretty crazy. The Elf Druid shares a type with Llanowar Visionary, another Elf Druid. Ah, man. We did not draw the mountain. It would have been so perfect this turn. I'm terrified that we're going to pass to them, and they're just going to copy some monstrous spell with their Volo. But right now we're still in good shape. If they cast something with more than 5 toughness, and especially if it copies, thanks to Volo, we are doomed. And they have a Fauna Shaman, so the odds of that happening are very high. Like, the only way we get out of this is if they don't have a creature card in hand, but they're activating it. So they have access now to 5 mana. Just go find something with 5 or less toughness, play it, and then let us draw a mountain one time. God knows I don't ask you for much. We got a real monkey's paw situation here, where I got exactly what I asked for, but it's not going to help. Our opponent got a Workshop Warchief, which is a 5/3 trample. When it enters the battlefield, they gain 3 life, and when it dies, they get a 4/4 Rhino. And it obviously is a unique type, so they copied it. So now they have 2 of those things. So yes, less than 5 toughness, but when we kill them, they're going to get 2 4/4s out of the deal. We now have 6 mana. We're at 15, and they have enough to kill us. So we have to cast Plarg just to not die this turn. And then we can also foretell the Epiphany. They're attacking with all. So the most we can block is 3, which we will do. And do we still die? Yes? Yes? Is that true? It is true. We die having never drawn our second red source. You know, I said at the beginning, one of our big weaknesses is our mana base was pretty dicey. Which is kind of wild to say, looking at some of the crazy land bases, but we were a little behind getting on the page of we were going to be straight up red-blue when we were drafting. I say we, like you had anything to do with it. I did. You know what? I got my wish. My wish came true immediately. I wanted to live the dream of taking tons of extra turns, and we got to do that in the first game. Good stuff. I really can't complain. That was fun. I hope to do more of this in the future, though I don't know if I'll be able to play any more Chromatic Cube before it rotates away. But it'll be back in the future. It'll come back, and I'll be very much looking forward to it. I know Seth has really enjoyed it to the point where he was discussing maybe even making a paper version of the Chromatic Cube. Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah, stay tuned for that. Until next time, thanks for joining me. See you later.